Alright guys, so this is my take on the SculpZilla. I didn't change the pattern at all. It's just a pattern that I learned online. I'll try to put a link to that in the comments below. Just got a few little tips and tricks that I came up with to make it a little bit easier, and hopefully you'll have fewer holes in your fingers when you're done. Because this is kind of a tricky tie if you don't batten everything down. So first of all, we want to start with our connecting material. A lot of folks use like fly line backing or some fancy fly tying thread, but I just actually use the Trilene 10-pound braid, man. Good old Trilene. It's extremely durable. It's pretty stiff to where you can work with it, but it's pliable enough to where your stinger's gonna float, you know, and that's the whole point of doing a segmented fly. So we start out by running our braid through the eye, both ends, get those kind of even. We're going to pull out our octopus hook and cinch it tight, and I did debarb that guy. We'll lock it back into place and just kind of want to make sure these guys are even, and then we will cinch that down with our tying thread. I like this 210 denier for these larger flies actually, as opposed to like unithread. I pop it a lot, especially when I'm really snugging down larger material like zonkers. Speaking of zonker, so just a nice natural strip of rabbit fur, no dye, no barbing, no nothing, simple, cheap, good stuff. I like to hang it over the hook about 1/4 of an inch or so, maybe a little more. You can always trim it, and we're going to taper that edge later because you can always make it shorter, can't make it longer. Wetting our fingers kind of helps this. Kind of a light wrap, medium wrap, heavy wrap, and one for luck. Keep it on top of the hook, and then we will kind of build a dam in front of our hair here, and then whip finish. And it's kind of hairy to whip finish with these guys, so we just kind of take your time. I keep a bodkin handy, pull it out, boom, another whip, boom, another whip, boom, and that is whip finished. Snipped. And that's ready to go. And normally I'd give a good dab of glue all up in here, but I don't want you guys having to sit and watch glue dry, so let's move on to the next step. Get our shank hook into place. Not worry about debarbing that because we're going to cut that hook loose. Got our bead already in place. And then we'll take our stinger, and this is another one of my little tricks, is I take a Hackle plier, really small one, run my material spring through it, clip my stinger right there, and boom, you'll notice that's exactly how far away from the shank. I can pull it a little bit, it gives me a little spring, gives me a little give. I can bring it forward, I can bring it back, and that is going to keep my fingers safe. I can bend this back out of the way while I'm working, drop it back into place. So that's something I came up with that helps out a lot. Alright, so now for the tricky bit, and this is why I like the braid. It is super thin, super easy to work with, but it is strong. So when we have the fish of a lifetime hanging off of that stinger, we remain connected. A little bit of dexterity comes into play here. So we bring that through the bead, and then we're going to go down through the hook eye, and this is the extra tricky part because we've eaten up a lot of real estate inside of that bead. So it's nice, that's nice and straight, and then we get that one through there, pull that through, and then we come back over here, tilt our vise over a little bit, and go through the side. did kind of cross this up a little bit, but as long as we're nice and tight, which we are, that's cool, man. And now we're gonna go ahead and start our thread wraps. A lot of guys start the thread wraps and they first bring the braid through, but it just jumbles up and confuses the issue and eats up real estate, so I just kind of do it after. Again, thanks to this material clip scenario, I've got tension here without touching anything. It's just hooked into place. Look at that. So we're gonna bring all this stuff back. And at first it's not that big a deal where you start your thread wraps, but as we work back, we definitely want to keep all that braid on top of the hook. We really want everything to ride on top. And at this point, we can go ahead and snip our tag end. So just keep all that braid up top. And when we hit that rear barb, that's about where we're going to stop it. So this is where we're going to end up cutting our hook. So let's go ahead and bring this tag ends of this braid up forward and just keep locking it down. Why not? I tend to forget how many fish I caught, but I always remember that one that got away, boy. Always remember that sucker. They tend to haunt you. So let's be redundant when it comes to this bit. Alright. And another point of measure is we're right at our hook point. So now we're going to bring our zonker strip up forward. Wet our fingers, bring all our hair up and out of the way. Right about chaw. Try to wrap it over top of the shank. Soft wrap, medium wrap, tight wrap, and one for luck. Alright. And then we build a little dam in front of the zonker. And that's where we're going to start our dubbing. And with this denier, it holds dubbing really well, but I like to throw a little wax on it. I don't want this particular fly to be too fluffy, but I do want it to be bulky. The natural sculpins get pretty meaty as they go up towards the head, so we're going to kind of give it that taper. But they're very slick, you know, kind of like a football cut in half. A little bit of slop's okay, of course. So obviously a dubbing loop would work good too, but again, those dubbing loops you're going to get real fuzzy. Those are great for like bugger patterns and leeches and things like that. But for this guy, I just want to go old school dubbing style. Just wrap it on there. Make it a disco sculpin. Disco, disco fish, da 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 da. Alright. I'm a big fan and believer of Flash. The fish have told me that they like it. Not in so many words. They don't talk much when they don't have heads in the freezer. I'm kidding. I'm a catch and release guy. Unless I'm hungry. Alright, so we got our dubbing done. Now we're going to get our zonker attached. Soft wrap, medium wrap, hard wrap, one for good luck. Alright. Gonna get in front of it a little bit. And give it a snip. And I use my funky scissors for cutting the zonker. And then if we wrap and kind of catch across top of that tag, we can really knock that sucker down in there. Usually, sometimes, maybe. Yeah, there we go. Get on down in there. See, we got a little bit of room left for our hackle. Now, I start the hackle with a piece of funky red cape. Not too heavy, you know, just like gills flaring or bleeding bait, what have you. Doesn't have to be beautiful, doesn't have to be clean. Just has to be on there. Get rid of our tag there and get our spool out of the way. And as I wrap, I just kind of stroke these suckers back. And on this one, I don't like to get too far down into a bunch of webbing. A little creates movement, that's cool, but I don't want to get too hairy with it. Alright, then for our front hackle, this nice modeled piece. You can actually even leave that on there. Don't want to trim it off. Or save it. It makes good wings for dry flies. Alright, let's bring this guy around. Blue collar fly, no need for being super careful or really giving too much of a crap about how it goes on there. Just get it on. Let's get it on! Alright. And I do go down into the marabou for that front one. I really like that one to flutter, especially across the top. It almost always, for some reason, ends with all that marabou right on top, which is right where I want it. Very cool. Alright. And whip finish. Boom, 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 bam. Alright, clean that up as we're trimming everything and gluing everything down. Unhook our stinger. Bring this guy down. Big wire cutters. Make sure we don't cut into our thread wraps. It's okay if you cut your fingers, just don't ruin your fly. And after a little brushing and trimming and gluing, there's SculpZilla. Oh no, there goes Tokyo. Go, go, SculpZilla. Woo! Cheers, guys.
Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. Please and thank you.
Good job. Make sure you bring it back with a full tank.
Okay.